welcome back to library. Today we are here with our special guest, Benjamin Magera. You say hi? Say hi, Benji. It is right before his nap time, so if he looks a little tired, that's why. But he's here, he has his own book, right? But he might be seeing him eat his book, but you guys should not eat your book. He's a baby, so it's okay. That book is made to be, there's your book. So today we are doing an exciting book. Now, I know we were supposed to keep doing Tacky the Penguin, but we are going to continue Tacky the Penguin next week, okay? But this week we are going to be reading The Big Brag. Okay, perfect. So this is also by Dr. Seuss. This is in our Yertle the Turtle book, but this is the other stories, right? This is one of the other stories. The Big Brag. Now, what is bragging, Benjamin? You know what bragging is? Let's tell them. So bragging is when you're like, oh, my house is cooler than your house, or, oh, look, I have a bigger cookie than you do, or something like that, okay? That's what bragging is. So this is called The Big Brag. The rabbit felt mighty important that day. On top of the hill in the sun where he lay, he felt so important up there on that hill that he started to brag as animals will. He boasted out loud as he threw out his chest. All of the beasts in the world, I'm the best. On land and on sea, even in the sky, no animal lives who is better than I. Look at that rabbit. He's like, look how cool I am. Who's that? Growled a voice that was terribly gruff. Now why do you say such ridiculous stuff? The rabbit looked down and he saw a big bear. I'm best of the beasts, said the bear. So there. Look at that. Do you guys like bears or rabbits more? I like rabbits. We used to have a rabbit named Potato. You're not, snapped the rabbit. I'm better than you. Pooh, the bear snorted. Again, I say pooh. You talk mighty big, Mr. Rabbit, that's true. But how can you prove it? Just what can you do? Thought the rabbit. Now, what can I do? He thought and he thought, then he finally said, Mr. Bear, do you see these two ears on my head? My ears are so keen and so sharp and so fine, no ears in the world can hear further than mine. So what is that, so keen? So they can hear, she's saying they can hear really sharp, or I guess he, Mr. Rabbit. Humph, the bear grunted. He looked at each ear. You say they are good, said the bear with a sneer. But how do I know just how far they can hear? I'll prove, said the rabbit. My ears are the best. You sit there and watch me. I'll prove it by test. Then he stiffened his ears till they both stood up high and pointed straight up at the blue of the sky. He stretched his ears open as wide as he could. Shh, I am listening, he said as he stood. He listened so hard that he started to sweat, and the fur on his ears and his forehead got wet. Look at that. He's listening so hard. Can you guys do that? Can you guys move your ears? You know some people can wiggle their ears, but I cannot wiggle my ears. Can you wiggle your ears? Just kidding. Mommy can wiggle your ears. And she's like, what? What happens next? For 7 long minutes he stood and he stirred, and he said to the bear, do you know what I heard? Do you see that far mountain? It's 90 miles off. There's a fly on that mountain. I just heard him cough. Now the cough of a fly, sir, is quite hard to hear when he's 90 miles off, but I heard it quite clear. So you see, bragged the rabbit, it's perfectly true that my ears are the best, so I'm better than you. Do you think that he could actually hear a fly cough, like a cough? I don't think so either. I know, right? You really think the rabbit could hear that? 90 miles. I don't know how many kilometers that is, but it is a lot. It's a lot of kilometers. I don't even know. The bear for a moment just sulked as he sat, for he knew that his ears couldn't hear like that. This rabbit, he thought, made a fool out of me. Now I've got to prove that I'm better than he. So he said to the rabbit, "You hear pretty well. You can hear 90 miles. But how far can you smell? I'm the greatest of smellers," he bragged. "See my nose? This nose on my face is the finest that grows. My nose can smell anything, both far and near. With my nose I can smell twice as far as you can hear." Would you rather be able to smell, or would you rather be able to hear that far? "You can't," said the rabbit. "I can," growled the bear, and he stuck his big nose way high up in the air. He wiggled that nose and he sniffed and he snuffed. He waggled that nose and he whiffed and he wuffed. For more than 10 minutes he snapped and he snuffed. Then he said to the rabbit, "I've smelled far enough." Look at that. Can you wiggle your nose? I cannot wiggle my nose. I wonder if he can smell the fly. "All right," said the rabbit. "Come on now and tell. Exactly how far is the smell that you smell?" "Oh, I'm smelling a very far smell," said the bear. "Away past that fly on that mountain out there. I'm smelling past many great mountains, beyond 600 miles, more to the edge of a pond." So over all of those mountains, I don't even think I could smell the kitchen right now, let alone a mountain. "And way, way out there by the pond you can't see is a very small farm. On the farm is a tree. On the tree is a branch. On the branch is a nest, a very small nest where 2 tiny eggs rest. 2 hummingbird eggs, only half an inch long. But my nose," said the bear, "is so wonderfully strong that the egg on the left is a little bit stale. And that is a thing that no rabbit can do. So you see," the bear boasted, "I'm better than you. My smell is so keen that it just can't be beat." Look at that. He's saying that he could smell that there's a bad egg all the way over the mountain. I don't know about that. "What's that?" called a voice from way down by his feet. The bear and the rabbit looked down at the sound, and they saw an old worm crawling out of the ground. "Now, boys," said the worm, "you've been bragging a lot. You both think you're great, but I think you are not. You're not half as good as a fellow like me. You hear and you smell, but how far can you see? Now I'm here to prove to you, big boasting guys, that your nose and your ears aren't as good as my eyes." Look, there's the worm. Now the worm, let's see how far can the worm see. And the little old worm cocked his head to one side. He opened his eyes. He opened them wide. And they looked far away with a strange sort of stare, and if they were burning 2 holes in the air. The eyes of that worm almost popped from his head. He stared half an hour till his eyelids got red. "That's enough." "That's enough," growled the bear. "Tell the rabbit and me, how far did you look, and just what did you see?" Let's see. How big can you open your eyes? See him. See how big can you open your eyes, Benji? That's it. That's big. Good job. "Well, boys," the worm answered, "that look that I took was a look that looked further than you'll ever look. I looked across the ocean, way out to Japan, for I can see farther than anyone can. There's no one on earth who has eyesight that's finer. I looked past Japan, then I looked across China. I looked across Egypt, then took a quick glance across the 2 countries of Holland and France. Then I looked across England and also Brazil, but I didn't stop there. I looked much farther still. Look, he saw Holland. And I I kept on looking and looking until I looked around the world and right back to this hill. And I saw on this hill, since my eyesight's so keen, the two biggest fools that I've ever have been seen. And the fools that I saw were none other than you, who seem to have nothing else better to do than sit here and argue who's better than who. Look at that. Do you think that the worm could actually see them? And the little worm gave his head a small jerk, and he dived in his hole, and he went back to work. Do you think the worm could actually see, or was he just trying to make a point? Was he just trying to be like, guys, you guys are being ridiculous, right? It doesn't matter who can see or can smell. Yeah, it doesn't matter who can see harder or who can smell harder, anything like that. No, it does not matter, okay? Let's go on to the next story.
Hi. As you can tell, Benjamin decided that he was done with reading stories, but that doesn't mean that this next story is not so exciting. It is called Gertrude McFuzz. Okay, let's take a look. There once was a girl bird named Gertrude McFuzz, and she had the smallest plain tail there ever was. One droopy droop feather, that's all that she had. And oh, that one feather made Gertrude so sad. For there was another young bird that she knew, a fancy young birdie named La-la-li-loo. And instead of one feather behind, she had two. Poor Gertrude, whenever she happened to spy Miss La-la-li-loo flying by in the sky, she got very jealous. She frowned and she pouted. Then one day she got awfully mad and she shouted, "This just isn't fair. I have one, she has two. I must have a tail just like La-la-li-loo." Look, there's the sad little feather, but she has two. La-la-li-loo is a very fun name. So she flew to her uncle, a doctor named Dick, whose office was high in a tree by the lake, and she cried, "Uncle Doctor, oh please do you know of some kind of pill that will make my tail grow?" "Tut, tut," said the doctor, "such talk, how absurd! Your tail is just right for you kind of bird." Then Gertrude had tantrums. She raised such a din that finally her uncle, the doctor, gave in, and he told her just where she could find such a pill. On a pillberry vine on the top of the hill. "Oh, thank you," chirped Gertrude McFuzz, and she flew right straight to the hill where the pillberry grew. Look, there's Dake. And he's saying you need to be happy, right? She threw a tantrum. You guys know what a tantrum is? It's like, no. Like sometimes I'll throw a tantrum if Mr. McGarrett does not give me chocolate. I'm just kidding. Kind of. Yes, there was that vine. And as soon as she saw it, she plucked off a berry. She started to gnaw it. It tasted just awful. Almost made her sick. But she wanted that tail, so she swallowed it quick. Then she felt something happen. Oh, she felt a small twitch. And if she'd been tapped down behind by a switch, and Gertrude looked round and she cheered. It was true! 2 feathers, exactly like La-la-li-loo. Then she got an idea. Now I know what I'll do. I'll grow a tail better than La-la-li-loo. These pills that grow feathers are working just fine. So she nibbled another one off of the vine. So look at that. She was not content with 2. Now, what does content mean? You guys know. Content means happy with something, right? Like they feel good with it. She wanted 2, but now she wants more. I don't know about you guys, but I feel this is not going to end well. She felt a new twitch, and then Gertrude yelled, "Wee! Miss Lala has just only 2, but I have 3. When La-la-li-loo sees this beautiful stuff, she'll fall right down flat on her face, sure enough. I'll show her who's pretty, I certainly will. Why, I'll make my tail even prettier still." She snatched at those berries, then grew on that vine. She gobbled down 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then she didn't stop eating, young Gertrude McFuzz, till she'd eaten 3 dozen. That's all that there was. Look at that. There's all those feathers. But now she's eating. What do you think is going to happen, guys? I feel like she's gonna get sick. Then the feathers popped out with a zang, with a zing. They blossomed like flowers that bloom in the spring, all fit for a queen. What a sight to behold. They sparkled like diamonds and gumdrops and gold, like silk, like spaghetti, like satin, like lace. They burst out like rockets all over the place. They waved in the air and they swished in the breeze. And some were as long as the branches of trees. And still they kept growing. They popped and they popped until long about sundown when they finally stopped. And now, giggled Gertrude, the next thing to do is to fly right straight home and show La-la-lee-loo. And when Lala sees these, why, her face will get red, and she'll let out a scream, and she'll fall right down dead. Look at all of those. I don't know about you, but I feel like Gertrude McFuzz is not the nicest bird. You know what I'm saying? Someone needs to be a little bit nicer. Then she spread out her wings to take off from the ground, but with all of those feathers, she weighed 90 pounds. She yanked and she pulled and she let out a squawk, but that bird couldn't fly, couldn't run, couldn't walk. And all through that night, she was stuck on that hill, and Gertrude McFuzz might be stuck up there still. If her good Uncle Dake hadn't heard the girl yelp, he rushed to her rescue and brought along help. Good old Uncle Dake. To lift Gertrude up almost broke all of their beaks, and to fly her back home, it almost took 2 weeks. And then it took almost another week more to pull out those feathers. My Gertrude was sore. Look at that. What do you think? I feel like some of them look happier than others, but they're all flying or there. But pull out the feathers. Oh no. And finally, when all of the pulling was done, Gertrude behind her again had just one. That one little feather she had as a starter. But now that's enough because now she's smarter. Look at that. So now what ended up happening? She was happy. She was content, right? She was like, you know what? I don't actually need all of those feathers. I'm happy with my one thing. So the moral, which we have talked about, a moral is a lesson that you can learn from the story. What do you think the moral was to that? I would say that it's to be happy with the things that you have. God made each and every one of you for a certain reason. And all of the different colors of the hair on your head, or the color of your eyes, or how tall or how short you are, God doesn't make mistakes. He made all of you like that for a reason. So just to think about that next time when you look at someone else and you're like, oh, she has long hair, I want long hair. Or, oh, she looks like this, or he looks like that. Think about that. The reason God made you each the way you are for a reason. Okay. Well, let me pray really quick. Oh, Mrs. McGarry almost forgets. Okay. Bow your heads. Dear Jesus, thank you so much for this day. And I just want to thank you for each and every one of these kids. If they're at home or wherever they're at, Lord. We just thank you that we are able to still connect and get to read books. We just thank you and we love you. In Jesus' name, amen. Okay. We'll see you next week.